Okay, so good morning and welcome to the Ohm Community Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Mary Lawrence. I am a practitioner here at Ohm, and I will be sharing with you today. I don't have a order of service, but I think we start with a congregational song, and and Lucille Park is our musician. Woohoo!
Great to be here. Thank
And
you.
she will lead us in our song.
God is my
Take
source.
it away.
And if you feel like standing, fine. If not, of course, that's fine.
That's pretty.
God is truly our source, isn't that true? Okay, here we go. Okay. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. He gives me everything I need. How about love? God is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy. Joy is my source. Woo! Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. Yeah. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. God is my peace. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. Hey, hey. I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. Oh yeah. I give thanks. I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need.
Okay, so now that we've raised the vibration here, we're going to bring it down a little bit. And I invite the amazing Sharonda up for meditation.
Good morning. My name is Sharonda Morris, and I am your practitioner this morning. So if you're comfortable, I invite you just to close your eyes and take in these words from our founder, Ernest Holmes. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Today, know what this means. The renewing of the mind is a scientific act. As a conscious thought pours truth into the subjective channels of creative energy, the body's automatically renewed. Instead of the old concept of dis-ease and failure, we are to inject those of freedom, liberty, health, harmony, and success. How good it is to know right here, right now, in this holy, holy now, that there's only one mind, and that is the mind of the divine, that which I know and choose to call God. And how good it is to know that this infinite mind is in, through, and as me, in, through, and as each and every one that is here this day. How good it is to know that that infinite mind, God itself, which is never an absence, always a presence, is continuing renewing itself, living in, through, and as each and every one of us, as love, as peace, as joy, as freedom. And knowing that this is the truth of our being today, I just bless this day. I bless each and every one of us, our technology, our beautiful, melodious Lucille Park. And I bless the wisdom that flows through and as Mary as she speaks, the powerful wisdom of the divine flowing through her. And how grateful I am right now to speak this word and affirm the truth and know that this is a powerful community anchored in love, in joy, in peace. And as I affirm this truth and know this good for Om Community Center for Spiritual Living, I give great thanks for this day and for it all. So join me as you know this truth as we together in gratitude say, and so it is. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce Lucille Park.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, it will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. 'Tis the gift to be loved, and that love to return. 'Tis the gift to be taught, and a richer gift to learn. When we expect of others what we try to live each day, then we'll all live together and we'll all learn to say, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. Tis the gift to have friends, and a true friend to be. 'Tis the gift to think of others, not to only think of me. And when we hear what others really think and really feel, then we'll all live together with a love that is real. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right.
That was lovely. Thank you, Lucille. So, hello again. I'm just so glad to be here and just sort of land, you know, after just the busy week and busy morning and everything. So, our theme for the month or for the year is rising. What happened? Higher, growing deeper. I think that's what it is. And the theme today is embracing the power of regenerativity. That's a 7-syllable word. And I counted it. And when I first know that I'm going to be speaking, I'll look at the title of the talk, and it's sort of a process for me. And right away I thought, oh yeah, when my kids were little, we used to watch this video, like an educational video about regeneration. And I looked it up and I watched it, and it was kind of a little bit of punk rock music, and it was about a crab, and these crabs get into a fight underwater under the sea, and one of them rips his arm off, and it grows back. It's regeneration, and so I was going to show that video, and then I decided to look up regenerativity, and although it is about renewal and growth, it's not exactly about regeneration. So I kind of shifted gears a little bit, and that's kind of what happens with me, is I have to sort of shift and move with where I'm sort of called to go. So I'm glad I looked it up. So generativity is the ability to contribute to the world by caring for others and creating things that last. And Erik Erikson was a child psychoanalyst, and he had his psychosocial stages of development, where he sort of broke our life span up into groups, and those social workers that we have in the room, I know we have some sometimes, will be familiar with this. And it's infancy and early childhood and the play age and school age and adolescence and early adulthood. And then many of us in this room fall into the middle age and old age category. Middle age is a pretty wide span, according to him. It's 30 to 64. I mean, I don't know that I would want to be 128, but but that's sort of the how he broke it down. And each one has a virtue and a conflict and sort of a theme for that stage of life. So for middle age, the virtue is care. And the theme is contributing to society and being part of a family. You know, maybe creating your family at that time. And the conflict is generativity versus stagnation. So I thought that was interesting, and regenerativity is sort of like the continuing renewal process and continuing to grow. And it's a profound spiritual principle that emphasizes the continuous renewal and growth in our lives. It calls us to see that every ending is a new beginning, and every challenge is an opportunity for personal growth and development. And many of us spend our earlier years, you know, those formative years in our lives, gathering experiences, both positive and negatives, that sort of inform the rest of our lives, and we sort of carry it around with us. They say, you know, you get your wounds in childhood, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to heal from them, right? And Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body in his book, The Power of Now. And he says the pain body we carry are remnants of pain left behind by every strong negative emotion. which causes us to live in a past version of ourselves. He talks about the power of living in the now, in the present moment. Okay, and it's already up there. Thanks, Martin. As long as you are unable to access the power of now, every painful emotional experience leaves behind a residue of pain that lives on in you. And he goes on to say, all it takes is a simple choice, a simple decision. No matter what happens, I will create no more pain for myself. And it's simple. Doesn't that sound simple? But it's not easy. It's simple but not easy. And Ernest Holmes says that the past is not a precedent. And I heard that for a long time in here and didn't quite get it. What does that mean, the past is not a precedent? What it means to me, anyways, my understanding of it is that just because something has happened in the past does not mean that it has to continue in the future. And when I find myself, either in my thoughts or in my words, saying something like, I have always done XYZ. When I am in the moment, I can stop myself and say, I've always done that. I may have always done that in the past, but that doesn't mean that I have to keep doing it. And I can make a decision now for a different choice that will lead me to a more desirable outcome. Right? So, as we do the work, as we do this healing work, it is not always comfortable. Sometimes it's downright painful, whether it's physical healing or emotional or spiritual healing and growth. I've shown a picture on here before when I've talked about this is, what we think spiritual growth is going to be like is like this peaceful, Om kind of thing, right? It's usually like hair on fire, freaking out. And it gets our attention that way. If it was all peaceful and easy, it wouldn't have our attention and we wouldn't have the same motivation to really address it and make some changes in our lives. But what I have found for myself, and I don't know, can anybody relate to this, is the feeling like there's something broken in me that I need to fix. Something's wrong with me, and I need to make it right. Keep repeating these same old patterns, and so I must be broken or something. And I've shared that I like to listen to K-Love Radio. It's kind of a Christian-y station, but there's some really good music in it. And so I don't care where it comes from. If it feels motivating to me, I'm going to embrace it. And there's a Toby Keith and Rachel Lampa song called Perfectly Loved. And it says, you're not a problem, you're not a mistake, and you don't need fixing or solving. And I just love that. And I decided, okay, I'm going to accept myself as I am while I continue to strive to be better, but not to have that sort of negative, something wrong with me that needs to be fixed. And healing is not only possible, it is natural. Healing is the natural impulse of our bodies. Our bodies are designed to heal themselves. And sometimes, like I said, there's pain involved. Some of you may know I broke my right ankle on Halloween. And there was a process in healing. And it was painful at times. It was swollen and bruised and, uncomfortable. And I got over that after a couple of months. And then last month, I twisted my left foot and strained a tendon. And I'm still in the process of healing with that. And I looked up, let me see, where did I put it? I looked up Elizabeth Hay, what she said about healing. I don't know, maybe I don't have it. But she was talking about not being sure of your footing moving forward, sort of being resistant to moving forward and having some fear and maybe some guilt about that. And so I've been moving into that and just stepping forward to do the next indicated thing for me in my life. I've been in school for several years and on and off. And the last certificate that I got was my substance abuse counselor certification. And I said, I am done with school. I am not going back to school. And then the idea presented itself, and I'm preparing to go back to school. But there's been sort of a push-pull, and I've been in some resistance. So I'm taking the steps, moving forward. All I need to do is make one more payment, and I started to make the payment, and then the name didn't match Venmo to what the person I was communicating with, so I wanted to clarify that. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, so it's helpful to look at some of those things that are available to us. Louise Hay's work was amazing, and so I like to look at that because there's always a spiritual reason or an emotional reason behind what is showing up. And our bodies are sort of our little broadcasters to say, hey, something's out of balance, or there's something you need to take action on. And so healing is a natural process of the body. So when we're sick or we're in pain, that's a signal that our body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Even though sometimes we think, I'm sick, I shouldn't be sick, I shouldn't be in pain. But it's really a signal that everything is perfect. Whew, we don't like to hear that when we're in the middle of it, though, do we? And the process can leave a scar. It can leave a mark. We might not be the same. We're not going to be the same after we've gone through that process of healing. Something is going to be different. And I was in a motorcycle accident when I was 16 years old, and I still have a scar on my upper lip. My lip is fat on that side. And I remember my doctor really wanted to do a dermal treatment to fix that scar, and I just wasn't into it, And so today it's like that's one of my battle scars. I think it's Hunter S. Thompson who has that poem about not arriving at the grave in like a perfect, pristine body. It's like sliding in, like dirty and beat up and tore up. And that's the sign of a life well lived, isn't it? It doesn't always feel like that. It doesn't always feel like that when we're in the middle of it. Oh, here's my Louise Hay. Reluctance to move forward, fear, and inflexibility. So I'm working on all that stuff right now. So regeneration is not all just about healing. It's also about recreating our lives and recreating ourselves. And how do we do that? And when you look at the word recreation, sounds fun, right? It's really recreation. When we engage in fun activities, we are really recreating and renewing ourselves. And it's so important. Rest is so important to the healing process and the growing process. That's rice for my ankle and my foot. Rest, ice, compression, and elevation. But number one is rest. We do need to slow down and rest, because all this work of healing and growing and all that stuff just sounds like a lot of work. We need some rest. And we need sleep. I work with people substance users, and some of them are using certain substances, and they may stay awake for days, and they literally lose their minds. I have certain clients that I've worked with who came in originally, pretty apparently functional, who are now like I see them outside the gates of the facility, and they just are a shell of the person they once were because of substances and in large part just not sleeping. So rest is an essential part of the regeneration process. And we commit to healing in all aspects of our lives. And when we do that, we align ourselves with the peace that is available. And we foster a deeper connection with the divine and with the world around us. And Sharonda and I did not coordinate the reading and the talk, but it was perfect because this is what she picked also. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's so powerful, and it aligns so seamlessly with the concept of regeneration and the law of growth. And through practices like mindfulness and meditation and continued learning and positive affirmations, we sort of immerse ourselves into that law of continued growth. And we cleanse our minds of negative patterns, and we replace them with thoughts that empower and uplift us. Incorporating fun into our lives is so important too. Talk about recreation. I remember more than once I have, been to a practitioner who says, "Do you have any fun in your life?" Because I'm a bit of a workaholic, and everything is so serious and intense and deep and, thought-provoking and all that stuff, inspiring. But what about watching a comedy? Just watching a comedy. Don't they say laughter is the best medicine, right? Watching a comedy, coloring with actual Crayola crayons. Remember the smell of Crayola crayons? That'll take you back, won't it? And just playing in the sprinkler, doing something fun just to lighten up. We all just need to lighten up because there is plenty of heavy stuff going on around us. So rest and recreation and doing the work is all a part of it. The law of growth posits that all living beings are in a state of perpetual becoming, driven by an inherent need to evolve and expand. And renewal is the process of refreshing and revitalizing and rejuvenating our minds, bodies, and spirits. And it's so crucial to our ongoing growth. According to the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So what we're doing is we're just shifting energy. And a few weeks ago, Reverend Suzette had us do an exercise where we wrote something that we wanted to release, right? And it was on that dissolving paper, and paper that dissolves in water. And that's such a good first step in this process, to release the old. And then there's sort of a pause in between where we just open up and allow to the new idea. And Aristotle was credited with saying that nature abhors a vacuum. And I can say my backyard is sort of evidence of this, because when I pulled all the weeds, they grew back. So there was an empty space, and nature moved in to fill it up. And so when we do that release, the next step is to replace it with what we do desire, what we're seeking. And science has since demonstrated that nature doesn't always fill a space, but it's been around for a while. It's in the zeitgeist that nature abhors a vacuum, and we can see it sometimes in our lives. So in our overstimulated world, it's easy to become overwhelmed and disconnected. To reclaim mental clarity and emotional balance, the call to action today, our homework, so to speak, is to do a dopamine fast. And we don't even realize how this is, happening in our lives, these little dopamine rushes, but the practice involves taking a deliberate break from the constant bombardment from instant gratification to allow your brain to rest and rejuvenate. So the steps to begin the dopamine fast are to identify your triggers, to reflect on the activities that you engage in that turn into quick dopamine hits, such as social media, binge watching TV, or binging on junk food. I'm sorry, I did not originate that list of things, but when I looked at it, I'm like, I do all those things. So this is for me. If it's not for you, it is for me. So identify the triggers, set clear boundaries, choose a specific time frame, whether it be a few hours, a weekend, a full day, and abstain from these triggers. And then engage in rejuvenating activities, whether you meditate, you do some reading, you walk out in nature, you exercise, you journal, something like that. And those will produce dopamine also naturally. These things, these dopamine hits and that are sort of mind-numbing kind of things, those are that's an unnatural release of dopamine. That's not our body naturally, our brain naturally releases dopamine, but when we're doing these types of things or using substances, it releases it in an unnatural way. So by practicing some other more holistic activities, we'll sort of rewire the chemistry of our brains. And finally, once you've engaged in these activities and done it for a period of time, kind of look back, do a reevaluation, reflect, and then see where maybe you can adjust things going forward in your life. I can say my experience, like with my kids, we waited till they were 12 years old to get their phones. I think my oldest was 12 or 13. My next one was 11 or 12, and the next one was maybe 10 or 11. But, that's how it goes with your kids. My first daughter was just my practice child. But when they would get, like, in trouble for something, one of the consequences would be to take their phone away. And in the beginning, it'd be like, don't take my phone away. But you're taking notes. But what I would notice, and I've told her that. I'm like, I'm really sorry. But what I noticed is taking the phone away, the first day or two, they'd be really stressed out. But over time, their behavior, their attitude, their energy shifted. It was very noticeable. My oldest daughter, we took her phone away, and we ended up, I don't even remember what it was for. She ended up having her phone taken away for 6 months. And and then, her younger sister and brother, she'd be like, I had my phone taken away for 6 months, and they're taken away for 2 weeks, But anyways, I'm just using that as an example to say unplugging from the world really works. I don't even I watch enough news or read enough. I don't even watch because it's just so overstimulating, but I'll read enough just to make sure that I'm informed. But I can't jump in. I can't jump in there. I don't have the bandwidth to be outraged anymore. I want to be involved. I want to do my part, but I just can't digest that much stuff anymore. So, and I see a lot of people nodding their heads, so I don't think I'm the only one, right? So this is your homework. Okay, let's try a dopamine fast and see how it goes, and maybe report back your experience. So that's my talk. It's a lot shorter than I thought. So we're going to say this affirmation together. We're going to say it 3 times. First, whisper. And the second is in a normal voice. And the third is just really affirming it. Okay? All right. I embrace my regenerative power, renewing and expanding my potential with each cycle of life. I embrace my regenerative power, renewing and expanding my potential with each cycle of life. I embrace my regenerative power, renewing and expanding my potential with each cycle of life. And so it is.